Hello and welcome. My name is Tamara Higgins, and I am your host for the Beauty, Wellness, and Harmony Summit. And today, I'm very happy to have with us Ronnie Hatchwell. She is a former CEO of music, EMI, I believe it is. Was it? Yes, EMI Music in Israel. Pretty fascinating. And she's also gone on this transformational journey throughout her life. And she has this book on Amazon called Be and It Will Be. And she has an amazing story to share with us. So Ronnie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I mean, I felt so excited when I heard from you because I thought God is the biggest PR on earth. Who would have known?
Right? 100%. So if you don't mind, if you could share with everybody your journey and how you got started down this transformational path and what, writing this amazing book, just a little bit about your story would be great to hear.
Thank you so much. Well, actually, I was dropped into it, and my unfounding was about discovering what that was all about. Because when my first memory was of me falling into a swimming pool. We lived in Africa at the time, and I would literally drowned, and I could see my body leave my inner side leave my body. Literally, I had an outer body. And I was traveling and seeing everybody getting into panic, and my father jumping in and pulling me out and trying to get the water out and giving me a resuscitation or whatever it was. And then there was a moment that I felt it was like an earthquake. I sort of got back into the body and I woke up very confused. But I remember what I had, the visions that I had were amazing, because you just can't explain the colors or the feeling. It was a total feeling of absolute freedom. There was nothing confining you. And I remember I was only 7, and I remember saying to my parents, this and this happened, and all they did was look at each other and didn't say a word. So for me, it felt as if, oh, probably everybody does that, So I walked through my life having those. They kept coming and going, and I just thought everybody else was experiencing it as well. And then at 17, we were already in London, because we moved to London when I was 10 and a half. And I remember that I was like with a bunch of teenagers going to a party, and this thing happened again. And all I could see was that I left, and I saw this girl at the party wearing the same dress as my friend Geraldine next to me. We were walking away. This is all splits of seconds. So I say to her, just so you know, Geraldine, she's wearing the same dress as you. But the way she said, how do you know, was the moment that I froze, because in my mind, I thought everybody understood this or knew why this could have happened or whatever. And she looked very strangely at me. And then I don't even remember what I answered her, but there was a moment that I froze, and it didn't happen for the next 5 years again, because I was like probably frightened of it or something like that. And then further on, I started to get these information channelings. I'd see somebody and I'd know who's ill in the family and who wasn't. But I felt this was a natural thing that everybody had, you see. At some point further on, there was a very difficult year. I could not sleep. I became almost psyche. Everything that was happening is like I had a deja vu, and it became very, very heavy. And then I started to channel and get downloads and information. I was writing, and I was literally begging for this to stop. I didn't have a life. By then I'd already I had my first divorce and 2 little kids to take care of. And I thought I was going balmy,
Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah, and who would I confide in, Who'd lock me up? And at some point I said, this has to stop. I don't know what to do. And this download said, don't worry, it's going to stop now. It was only to pull you in, to show you that there is another realm that you're going to experience, that you won't have to argue about it. So for me, I don't have an argument. It happened to me. It happens to me. And when I tell somebody, they could think, oh, she's that. But for me, there's no argument. So I always knew that there was a greater something. I used to call it God automatically, but this was something I could literally touch. I could understand. There was another realm going on. So for me, it was more of sort of putting a name to those experiences rather than discovering the path, if you see what I mean, because the path was happening to me automatically. And then at some point through the divorce, which was very difficult, I met somebody who I gave the channelings to, who was in Hebrew, it's called Kabbalah. Like every nation has their own, like the Mexicans have the Toltec and the Hawaiian have the Ho'oponopono. So the Jewish people have the Kabbalah. And this person said to me, you've received Kabbalah for the layman. So, which meant that you're going to show them an easy path to how to live life, and not the story about life. So that's basically it. And I met somebody who was very interested, and we ended up writing a book together, which is the book Be and It Will Be. And it's like it's a lifetime book. I mean, it doesn't matter when you pick it up. It's always going to bring you to the place that you need to be in. So he would ask the questions, I channeled the answers, and the book came about. And then I got the method called Be and It Will Be. But all this is happening while I'm in the music industry. And I'm very careful in the music industry not to say too much, because again, and then there comes a point that this person says that he's doing this documentary for the main TV station, and would I like to appear in it? Because the documentary is about people who have earthly jobs, but they're also connected spiritually, and they're mentoring and blah, blah, blah. And I said, as long as you don't turn me out to look like something weird. And then the documentary came out, and I was so surprised at the amount of people in the industry who called up and said, can we have a channeling? So everybody seemed to have been connected, but nobody was saying and nobody was talking about it, etc. At some point, I left the industry because I felt this was it. This is my vocation. It was bigger than everything else I was doing. And I just started to mentor people, and I've got a framework now within the method, which is like a program of 12 sessions. Whoever wants to continue later can, but the 12 sessions are basic sessions. And what we do is we only deal in cleansing ourselves. We don't deal in trying to educate the other side. We don't try to fix the world outside us. We take responsibility for the world that we are experiencing. I always say we're not in the world's in us. So just for example, something we do every day, if you're washing the dishes, you can wash the dishes with a frown or a smile, you're still washing the dishes. So that point of how you experience washing the dishes is yours. But that's the magic rod that we have, because when you really, really know that, you become the flower, not the bee. That means you actually can manifest things into your life without too much movement, just because you are being it in the moment. So it's all about the energy fields that lay within us, and they are, up till now, we've called them emotions and feelings, but if we remove the names, we're literally left with energy fields that are in the body, which means that our body is our conscious mind. The body is the only thing that experiences. And because we already have all those energy fields, every single emotion is already in us, because nobody puts an emotion in you, they take it out of you, right?
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you already have it in you. So you can always go to the end of the story of the thing you want and feel the feeling that you wanted to get in the first place, because whatever you do in life is to feel a feeling. You want a relationship, it's to feel a feeling. You want to buy a car, it's to feel a feeling. So that's already in you. The important thing to know here, and because it's a spiritual journey, we have to first find our relationship with what I call God. You can call it universe, all that is, it doesn't matter the name. But if I don't get that there's a bigger entity that created me in the first place, then I've got no one that I can give my problem to. Yeah. Okay, and then I become all condensed, thinking that I'm the one that can solve it. So I say that if there's a problem, which the creator created everything, right? So if it created a problem or a challenge, it also created the solution, because it created everything. So I get a problem and I say, can you deal with it, please? And all I'm left with is how I take care of my own demeanor. That's what I'm left with. In order to get to there, I have to peel away everything my matrix mind is telling me. Okay, I have to peel away my childhood memories. I can't even talk about experiences because by the time you're a grown-up, you've told the story so many times in so many different ways that you're never really telling about what actually happened. Because what actually happened, say, if I take this and I drop it, it happened, it's gone, right? It's the past. But now if I have to explain it to you on the phone, I can't just say hand cream table. You won't get that. I've got to tell you a story, right? I'm going to remember the story about something I think happened. Now, if you saw the same thing that I saw, but only from that angle, you have a different story to me. But we were in the same place. Okay, so
that's true.
Yeah, and that's what's so important to understand, because I am the world. I can tell myself any story I want. Now, do I want to stick to the bad stories, or I want to stick to the good stories? Or do I just want to live here and now, discovering the new one? Okay.
So how do you help people cleanse those past stories that they continue to tell themselves to get through their, daily life, and so they can clear that out so they can move past it and then experience the being, because that's all we have is like you said, right now.
Absolutely. So the program split into 3 parts. The first 4 lessons, what we do is we take the traits of those that live within us in a certain frame. So if you think of somebody as stingy, for example, okay, the way that energy of thinking of him stingy lives in you, you're the one feeling him stingy. That's an energy field, right? And every time you go to meet that person, you're going to go, oh God, I got to meet that stingy person again, right? And if that stingy person buys you a bunch of flowers, you're going to say, I probably found it on the floor. You've got to justify you carrying that frame around him, okay? Which is not fair to him, because we don't really know if he is stingy, right? But if he shows up in your life as stingy, that means, and I'm watching it, that means I've got to look inside me and find out, where am I stingy? What are the circumstances that I find myself stingy? It doesn't have to be about money. It could be about love. It could be about the way I treat people, okay? And then when I clear it within me, because I don't want it to show up in the external world again, then it stops. Then the external world doesn't show up for me in that way anymore.
So it's a self-reflection, really, if you think about it. It's like you're mirroring, you're like mirroring what you don't want, but is truly in you. And so you have to kind of get rid of it, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
And we've got to be brave, because I say that if you don't allow yourself to meet your own darkness, you can't switch on the light. Okay.
I like that.
And then you're free. So it's all about having courage to really, really look inside and say, oh my God, I do that. Oh, wow. That's what he's showing me. And then what we do after that, we go to the person and we make amends, and we say to them, I'm sorry for the way I have been realizing you in my life. And I want to make amends between us so that we can have a different relationship. Now, the relationship that we will have is a blind spot. What would happen, either that person will leave because there's no more, there's nothing for him to do or play a role in your life anymore, or the circumstances between you will change and you'll have a better relationship. So that's the blind spot.
And I like that too, because people do leave our lives for many different reasons. And it's, oftentimes we don't understand that. And so hold on to that is like almost like a hurt or a pain point. But really, we just need to realize that it's just that time has come and it's gone, and it's time to welcome in something new, because you just released that.
Exactly. And there's something new is there to bring you up to a higher ascension, because that part has got nothing to offer you anymore. We all have these like spiritual contracts before we enter. So we know that this person says, oh, I'm going to take it on myself to play the stingy guy in your life until you sort it out. But please sort it out quickly, because I don't like being that person. So that's basically what it means. Okay. So we're here to release everybody else from the roles they've been playing, sometimes very ugly roles, but they've had to have the stamina to stick them through till I wake up. I'm the one that needs to wake up. So that's what we do in the first 4 sessions. And it comes to a point that you automatically, when you go out into the world, you automatically have it in your head already. You're already realizing that sometimes even you meet somebody new in the middle of a sentence, you can see that you're already building a framework about that person. And so you can already let it go. So that's the first. The second sessions are, which is also 4 lessons, we deal with what we call memory bubbles or energy bubbles. They live within our body. They're automatic matrix. It means that you have a reaction. The reaction is a react. It means that the grown-up, you and I are grown-ups, and we're meeting ourselves for the first time right now, and I'm discovering who I am through you, and you're discovering who you are through me in this meeting point. But if there's a reaction, that's the past, because the grown-up hasn't realized herself yet. Nothing's happened yet, right? This is the now, and it's always the now. There really isn't, there's never a future, it's always now, right? So if there's a pain or a hurt or something that comes up, that's the reactive from the past. That's a reactive energy that's in you. It's been there all along. It could come from a past life, or it could come from childhood. We don't really need to know why. The fact that we know it's there is enough. But what we learn to do is not to override it, but to sit for a second and allow ourselves to feel it and hug it. So that reaction may be sadness or, I don't know, depression or something. And in order to take care of that, the grown-up has to imagine that's her child. And you have to hug her and love that child. So the love frequency takes over, if you see what I mean.
Yeah,
otherwise, the energy field of the sadness or the depression is the vibration that carries. If I want the love vibration to carry, I've got to love that. So I'm above that. That means that becomes under the radar. And when you're sitting with it and you give yourself permission to feel it, it just dissipates. It may take, some might take longer than others, it doesn't matter, but never override that, because then it's going to invite other thoughts and other situations, because it's a magnetic field.
And I think it's hard for people to sit with that type of emotion and to and then even to oftentimes get out of the emotion that they're having. It's just, they don't have the tool to work through it.
Exactly. And also, people are not afraid of a situation. They're afraid of how they will feel in a situation.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're afraid of feelings. We're afraid to feel fear. But if we understand that it's just an energy field, it just means sitting for a minute and allowing that energy to feel itself. Mm-hmm. And then it goes, and it really is that simple. But the mind says it's not.
Yeah, and do you think that's why we all, people worry or they have those fears, and that actually stops people in their tracks?
Yeah, and that's the reason we've got war. Everybody's acting on a feeling. Nobody's stopping to say, oh, I'll just take care of my feeling now. And then you're at peace. You don't need war, right?
Right.
But that's the reason. Everybody's acting on it rather than saying, hang on, this is me. It's got nothing to do with him. Nothing to do with them. Let's just walk inside for a second and give ourselves permission. And, the body, the body is amazing, because it really knows how to heal itself. But it needs a bit of help from the willingness to do that. And, I've often said, I hear a lot of people who come with, we talk about addictions, for example. I grew up with a load of information about food. My mother already at the age of 7 was saying to me, don't touch that, you shouldn't eat that, you shouldn't eat that, you shouldn't eat that. At some point, somebody said, don't even eat tomatoes. And at some point I said, I've got nothing to eat. And millions of diets contradicting each other. And then I realized, or I was told, it's not about the cake or the chocolate. It's about how you eat it. If I'm going to eat it feeling guilty, guess what? My body's on a really bad vibration. It's toxic. But if I eat it enjoying it, first of all, I won't be addicted because I've enjoyed the experience. And enjoying that vibration heals you, does the opposite. The body knows what to do with the chocolate, right? So if somebody says to you, I really recommend you go swimming because it's good for the health. That's wrong. The swimming's not good for the health. If you enjoy it, it's good for the health. Okay? I can't stand going to the gym, so that's not good for my health because I go in very stressed. But I do like walking. and that's good for my health. Okay, so it's whatever you love will heal you. It's not the thing itself. Everything is a prop. Everything physical or manifested is a prop for us to see who we are inside and how we're living, because our quality of life is within me. It's nowhere else.
Right.
You know? Yeah. So that's the second part. And the third part we deal with extensionally there, but all along the way. And that is what we've just said, the energy field. The energy field, which is the actual emotion. Before the energy bubble is the belief. Okay, so we get rid of the belief. You might say now, oh, Ronnie, please don't take my phone away. I can't live without my phone. And then I would say to you, do you need your phone right now? Do you?
Not really.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
and
no.
where is life? Yeah, and where is life right now?
Right here.
And right now, you'll always have exactly what you need. I wanted a cup of tea. Oh, just manifested a cup of tea.
Right.
Okay. You will always have what you need in the moment. But the mind says, no. You also need that. What about that? You've got to worry about that. You've got to worry about that. You've just missed your life.
Right. Because you're so distracted. I mean, I can't tell you, like, literally, here's my phone. And it's like, how often do you go anywhere? And this is attached to all of us anymore.
All the time.
So it's like, you have to be able to learn to shut off the distraction so you can be in the moment.
Right. But the distraction is the mind. It's always the mind. The mind is the distraction. How do you do that? By going under the radar of it. Because the more you try to stop it, the more it'll antagonize you. Yeah. Anything that you resist persists. Whatever you allow just disappears, okay? So it's like a roller in a movie. When you go to the movie, not many people stay till the end to see the roller. It just goes down, right? Yeah. So you do the same with this. Okay, just do your thing. Nothing to do with me. And by the way, I've got a patent. Meditation. Meditation, there's so many systems to get into meditation. But what if you knew that on the right side of the brain, there are no thoughts anyway? And all you had to do is close your eyes, smile, and focus on the right side of your brain. You can do it right now. Just put your focus on the right side of your brain and suddenly you're in silence.
That's true. Oh my gosh, it's true.
Wow. You're in silence.
I was trying to like think of something else and I'm like, no, I can't. It's just like, yeah.
It disappears because there are no thoughts there. So all you have to do is just.
That's fascinating.
Isn't it?
Wow. And I think when we talked before, you said there was like go to your first thought. So it's like you threw a ball at me and I caught it like right here.
Right.
Because it's like your instinct kicks in too.
Your history is in your body.
Yeah.
So if I throw a word at you, I can say bucket, tell me where that would land. If you close your eyes.
On the beach.
Okay, so you've got an associate. But there is something that physically hits you in the body. If I throw a word at you and you close your eyes, I'm going to throw a word at you and I'm going to say pencil.
I think of school. I've been second grade, Mrs. Peffley's class. That's what I think of.
You didn't even think, and you allowed the pencil to hit you in a spot physically in your body.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I'll give you another word.
Okay.
I'll give you another word. Book.
My left hand.
Okay, there you go.
There
you go. So the memory is inside every single cell in our body.
Fascinating.
Okay. And that helps us understand the ultimate. The fact that we're automatically reflecting something, we're automatically reacting to something. Nobody's living. Nobody's living. And, you know, especially in these days of Corona, and I have to tell you, in our country, it is terrible. It's terrible what's happening here. There's like a war going on between brothers.
And for everyone, Roddy's in Israel, so that's where she's located. Yay!
We've become the guinea pigs of the Pfizer vaccine, and those who don't choose to take the vaccine are being looked at as, I can't even begin to tell you. It's just awful. But what we do know on the spiritual level, that when change has to come, it has to get to a boiling point. So what happens is the hatred and the jealousy and the ego, I'm just looking, I'm waiting and watching it, because once it gets to a boiling point, it's all going to crash, and that's when one love is going to happen. So I'm very I'm very patient in that sense, but to watch it now is very difficult.
Yeah.
But
And you're living it.
And you're living it, and you're watching people's minds. You can watch how people are getting so afraid that they're not even thinking for themselves anymore. Nobody's in their own integrity. They've been told what to do. They've been frightened. So our whole thing, the reason I mentioned that is because it's a good example to show that we're all individual and we all have an alignment to source. We don't have to go through something else to get to source. We have it within us. We've all got spirit, and we're a duality. We've got the I ego, who thinks it's in control, and then we've got the spirit, who doesn't have to do anything. It's just watching. It's actually laughing at the ego. You know, it's enjoying itself. It says, I'm not bothered. Do you want to join me? Then we can both be not bothered.
Right.
So we've got to get to that point. And in order to get to that point, we've got to be brave enough to say, I'm letting go of everything I think I know. Okay?
Yeah. And I think that is a brave thing to do. It's hard to let go of all that stuff that we've all held on to for our entire lives to get to a state of, you know, that loving and being in the moment kind of reality that is ideal, so that we can design our life without the stuff that's weighing us down.
And only because you believe it's true.
Right.
That's the problem. There's nothing wrong with a thought until you believe the thought.
Mm-hmm.
The minute you believe the thought, it's become the experience of your life. But if you understood that the thought was just a trigger to detect the energy field, and you'd say, thank you, thought, you can go now, and all you do is feel that feeling and let it go, you are now born.
I love that.
Okay.
So how long, like in your experience of working with clients and, you know, taking them through this 12-step process, you know, how long does it typically take to see transformation?
Well, the reason we did 12 is because it's somewhere around the middle. It's around the 6th, 7th, 8th lesson that the penny drops.
Okay.
And what we're trying to do is we're trying to take an old matrix and build a new one. So there's a lot of repetition coming in different ways. You might have even noticed it during our conversation, saying the same thing in a different way.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you're trying to retrain this recording machine. Okay. So it usually takes around that just for the penny to drop. And then what we decide together is if you want to continue, just to refresh once a month or something like that, to keep it in touch. But what we do is also, in between the sessions, the student talks to me on Messenger and on Facebook, so that if something comes up, we want to grab it live. We don't want to wait till the next session. So I can say to them, oh, look at it this way, that way. Also, we have a contract. I don't know if I can share the screen or send it to you.
You can send it to me and I'll share it.
Okay. It's called the Personal Be and It Will Be contract. And it's a contract between you and you.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And it has certain things that you first have to accept. And then there's stuff that you've got to do. So it goes around. It makes a lot of sense once you read it. But when you read it every day, something changes in your frequency and your understanding of it. So you might read it in a certain way the first day. The second day, it's already taking a different way. And then the third day, until it sort of stamps itself inside, and you actually know that that's the truth. And the knowingness, I always say there's a difference between knowing and knowingness. Knowing is the mind, but knowingness is a resonance. It meets you in a place that you know already, you come into the world with it. But in order to meet that, we do all the peeling off of everything else, because you already have it. So that's one thing. And then whoever finishes the 12, we have what we call it an alumni once a month meeting. People in Israel sit here in my lounge, and those abroad meet us on Zoom and join. And we have a refresh. So we have more content, and everybody's speaking the same language, and everybody's sharing and say, this and this happened to me. I solved it this way, or I don't know how to solve it. but everybody already knows what to advise because they are doing the program. So it becomes second nature, because that's something I promised myself. I said, I don't want somebody to say, oh, I just went to another workshop. It has to be part of your life. You have to live it, not read about it, not talk about it. You've got to live it, you know.
I love that. So Ronnie, how can people get in contact with you?
Well, first of all, on Facebook, Ronnie Hatchwell, very simply. I've got a page, a professional page, and then I had to open another one. So you can find me either way. I'm on YouTube as well under Ronnie Hatchwell. And then my website, which is www.beanditwillbe.com. And you can also you can send me emails through that and I will answer. And if you want to do a workshop, it's all written in there. There's also my artwork if anyone's interested.
I love it. I looked at some of it. It's really beautiful. Yeah, you have beautiful artwork too. So
thank you, darling. Not mine. Came through. I can tell you how I know that, because I don't rub out.
Oh.
It's a one-time download, and I don't even know which color I'm going to pick up. It's amazing.
Fascinating.
Because I used to draw in the past, I used to measure and I used to rub out and I was never satisfied. I just love them all because I know they're not mine. So.
It's just coming right through you. I love that. I love that. Well, I'm going to share with everyone how they can get in contact with you as well. But thank you so much for spending this little bit of time. It's so important to be in that state of being. And you know, I know that you are going to help many people through the process coming up, even more so, especially this crazy time we're in. So yeah, we're all going to get through it together. So thank you. Thank you. All right, love.
Thank you so much.